The phone rang at 3:17 a.m., and in that moment, I knew my life was about to split in two. I was awake already. At 74, sleep doesn't come easily. It tiptoes in, then slips away. The house was silent, too silent, the kind of silence that presses against your chest. When the phone rang, I didn't jump. I froze, because phones don't ring at 3:17 a.m. with good news. I stared at it on the nightstand. The screen glowed, an unknown number. My heart began to pound, slow at first, then harder. "Don't answer," a small voice inside me whispered. But I did. "Hello." My voice cracked. There was breathing on the other end. Fast, uneven. Then a woman spoke. "Nana May?" she asked. I sat up straight. "Yes," I said. "Who is this?" A pause. This is Clara from St. Vincent's Hospital." Hospital? That word hit me like cold water. "I'm calling about your husband," she continued softly. My fingers tightened around the phone. "My husband?" I repeated. "Yes, ma'am. Mr. Robert May." The room began to tilt. Robert. My husband of 46 years. My throat went dry. "What about him?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "I'm so sorry," she said. "There's been an incident." Incident. They always use gentle words for violent truths. I swung my legs off the bed. "Is he alive?" I demanded. "Yes," she said quickly. "But he's unconscious. He was brought in earlier tonight." "Earlier tonight? How?" I asked. Silence. Then she said he collapsed. Collapsed. I swallowed. "Where?" I asked. "At a private residence," she replied. Private residence. That didn't make sense. Robert was supposed to be in Chicago. A business conference, he'd said. I pressed my hand to my chest. "Can I see him?" I asked. "Yes," but she hesitated. "There's something else." My stomach tightened. There was another woman with him. The words landed softly, but they shattered something inside me. Another woman. I said nothing. "I'm so sorry," she added quickly. "Hospital policy requires us to notify next of kin." "But where is he?" I interrupted. "Room 417, she said. "But Mrs. May, I think you should prepare yourself." "Prepare yourself? For what? For betrayal? For death? For both?" I hung up without another word. The room felt unfamiliar, like I was standing in someone else's house. I walked to the mirror. My face stared back at me, wrinkled, tired, but sharp. "Pull yourself together, Nana," I whispered. I dressed slowly. Black sweater, flat shoes. My hand shook as I grabbed my coat. When I stepped outside, the night air was icy. The drive to the hospital felt endless. Streetlights blurred past. My mind raced. Another woman. How long? How deep? How stupid had I been? I remembered every late night, every business trip, every moment I swallowed doubt because it was easier than confrontation. By the time I reached the hospital, my jaw ached from clenching it. The lobby smelled like disinfectant and coffee. A young nurse looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm Nana May," I said. "My husband is in room 417. Her expression shifted. Recognition. Pity. "Yes," she said quietly. "This way." As we walked, I saw her glance at me, probably wondering what I knew, probably wondering what I didn't. Outside room 417, voices drifted through the door. A woman's voice. Sharp. Angry. "I told you not to call her," the woman hissed. My heart stopped. "That's his wife," a man's voice replied. "She has a right to know." I pushed the door open. The woman inside spun around. She was young. Too young. Long dark hair. Perfect makeup. A tailored coat that screamed money. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "You must be Nana," she said. The way she said my name, like she'd practiced it. "I'm Elise," she continued, extending a hand. "Roberts." I stared at her hand. Didn't take it. "Roberts what?" I asked. She smiled. Not kindly. "Companion," she said. "Companion." I laughed. A sharp, broken sound. "I've been his wife for 46 years, I said. "What exactly does that make you?" Her smile faltered. Before she could answer, a doctor stepped in. "Mrs. May," he said. "We need to speak." Elise stepped closer to Robert's bed. Protective. Possessive. like she belonged there. I followed the doctor into the hallway. Your husband suffered a mild stroke, he explained. He's stable, but the next few days are critical. I nodded numbly. When can he wake up? I asked. Soon, he said. But there's something else. My heart sank. He was under significant stress, the doctor continued. And his paperwork. Paperwork. There were discrepancies, he said. Emergency contact information lists another woman. I didn't need him to finish. I already knew. Elise. I returned to the room. She was sitting in the chair beside Robert's bed, holding his hand, like a wife. I stopped at the doorway. I'm not leaving, she said before I spoke. I crossed my arms. This is my husband, I said calmly. And he's my partner, she shot back. Partner. My chest burned. How long? I asked. She hesitated, then lifted her chin. 10 years. 10 years. The number echoed in my skull. 10 years of lies. 10 years of stolen moments. 10 years of him coming home to me, kissing my cheek, and sleeping beside me like nothing was wrong. My legs wobbled. I grabbed the bed rail. You knew about me, I said. She didn't deny it. He told me you were ill, she said. That you lived separate lives. I laughed again. This time it broke into a sob. I cooked his meals, I whispered. Washed his clothes. Held his hand when his mother died. Elise looked away. I love him, she said. I leaned closer. So did I said. Before tonight. A nurse entered. Only family can stay, she said gently. Elise stood, straightened her coat. She leaned toward me. You should know, she whispered. Robert changed his will. The words hit harder than the stroke. What? I asked. She smiled. Everything goes to me. The room went silent. Robert stirred. His fingers twitched. I looked at his face. The man I thought I knew. The man who built a life with me. The man who destroyed it in secret. I straightened my back. Elise walked out. Her heels clicked down the hallway. Each step echoed like a countdown. I leaned over Robert. My voice trembled. Robert, I whispered. What have you done? His eyes fluttered. For a brief moment they opened, and in them I saw fear. Not guilt. Fear. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You should step aside gracefully. This will get ugly. I stared at the screen, then at Robert, then at the door Elise had exited through. And in that moment I made a decision. If she thought she had taken everything, she had no idea what I still held. Because the real Will wasn't the one she knew about. And I was done being silent. The first time I realized my marriage had already been buried was the day my husband's business trip turned out to be a wedding rehearsal. I didn't know it yet, but my body did. That morning, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told myself it was age, nerves, bad sleep, lies I fed myself easily back then. The hospital room still smelled of antiseptic and betrayal when I stepped out into the hallway. My legs felt hollow, like they belonged to someone else. I leaned against the wall, closed my eyes, and breathed. In, out. You're stronger than this, Nana, I whispered. But strength felt very far away. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Another message. You don't belong here. Let him go. I stared at the screen. Let him go? After 46 years? After children? After funerals? After mortgages and miscarriages and quiet Sunday mornings? My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I deleted the reply I'd started. This wasn't a phone fight. This was war. I walked back into Robert's room. He was awake now. Barely. His eyes followed me as I approached. Nana, he croaked. Hearing my name in his voice nearly broke me. I pulled a chair close. How long? I asked quietly. He swallowed. His hand trembled as he reached for mine. I pulled away. How long, Robert? His eyes filled with tears. 10 years, he whispered. The same number Elise had said. 10 years. My laugh was bitter. Do you know what you were doing 10 years ago? I asked. He closed his eyes. It was the day our granddaughter was born, I continued. I was holding her in the hospital, alone, because you were on a conference. His lips quivered. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, he said. I leaned forward. Then how did you mean for it to happen? I demanded. Did you mean for me to find out from your mistress in a hospital hallway? He flinched at the word. Don't call her that, he whispered. That did it. Something inside me snapped. Don't tell me what to call the woman who crawled into my marriage, I said through clenched teeth. He turned his face away. Silence stretched between us. Heavy. Thick. Then he said something I will never forget. She makes me feel alive. The word stabbed deep. I stood up slowly. So I was what? I asked. Furniture? A habit? A shadow? He didn't answer. I nodded. I see, I said. I turned to leave. Nana, he called weakly. Please. I paused at the door. I will never beg for love, I said. Not from you. Not anymore. I walked out. But the past followed me. It always does. As I sat in my car, the rain started. Light at first, then heavy, like the sky was mourning something I hadn't yet buried. That's when my sister called. May, she said sharply. Why didn't you tell me? My chest tightened. Tell you what? I asked. Don't play dumb, she snapped. I just got an invitation. An invitation? To a wedding, she continued. Robert and Elise. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. It's next month, she said. Black tie. Vineyard. They didn't even bother hiding it. The world tilted. He's still married to me, I said. There was a pause. Then my sister said quietly, not for long apparently. I drove home in a fog. The house felt colder than usual. Empty. Like it already knew. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the walls. Every picture mocked me. Every memory felt counterfeit. Then I remembered something. A detail. Small, but sharp. Years ago, maybe 8 or 9, I'd attended a wedding alone. Robert had claimed a last-minute flight delay. I'd worn a pale blue dress. I remembered standing at the back of the vineyard, watching the bride walk down the aisle. She'd been radiant. Dark hair. Tall. Confident. My stomach twisted. No. No, no, no. I pulled out my phone and searched the photos. There it was. Zoomed in. Blurry. But unmistakable. Elise. In white. My breath caught. My knees buckled. I slid down to the floor. Oh my God, I whispered. It wasn't a rehearsal. It was a wedding. Her wedding. To someone else. Or so I'd thought. But now, a knock at the door startled me. I wiped my face and stood. When I opened it, my daughter stood there. Her arms crossed. Her face tight. Why didn't you tell me? She demanded. Tell you what? I asked weakly. She shoved her phone in my face. A picture. Robert and Elise. Holding hands. Smiling. The caption read, finally choosing happiness. My daughter's voice trembled. Everyone knows, Mom, she said. Everyone but you. The humiliation burned worse than the betrayal. You knew? I asked. She looked away. I suspected, she admitted. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. So you let me be a fool instead. She reached for me. I stepped back. I need time, I said. That night I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk, pulled out old files, old documents, insurance papers, property deeds, and then I saw it. A sealed envelope, yellowed with age. My name written in Robert's handwriting. If anything happens, open this. My heart pounded. I stared at it for a long time, afraid. Then I opened it. Inside was a copy of a will. Not the one Elise had bragged about. This one was dated years earlier. Signed, witnessed, legal, and everything was left to me. My hand shook. Attached was a handwritten note. I may lose my way, Nana, but this is the truth of my heart. Tears streamed down my face, but they weren't tears of relief. They were tears of resolve, because now I knew. Elise thought she had already won, but she didn't know the whole story, and she didn't know me. I folded the will carefully, placed it back in the envelope, and whispered to the empty room. You should have finished me when you had the chance. My phone buzzed. A message from Elise. Court date set. Try not to embarrass yourself. I smiled for the first time in days. Oh, honey, I whispered. I'm just getting started. Families don't explode all at once. They crack slowly, quietly, until one day the sound is deafening. I learned that the night my own blood chose silence over truth. The house creaked as the wind pushed against it. Old houses do that. They speak when you don't want them to. Every sound felt like a whisper of the past, reminding me of everything I'd ignored. I sat at the dining table with the envelope in front of me. The real will. Its weight felt heavier than paper should. I hadn't slept. Couldn't. My mind replayed Elise's voice. Her confidence. Her certainty. She believed she'd already buried me. I ran my fingers over the envelope and thought, not yet. A knock echoed through the house. Sharp. Urgent. I didn't jump this time. I opened the door to find my son, Daniel. My firstborn. My protector. Or so I thought. Mom, he said, avoiding my eyes. We need to talk. I stepped aside. He walked in like a stranger. Didn't hug me. Didn't sit. Just stood there. What is it? I asked. He exhaled slowly. Dad called me, he said. My stomach clenched. And I asked. He wants this handled quietly. Quietly. The word tasted bitter. Handled how? I asked. Daniel rubbed his face. He wants you to sign the divorce papers without contest, he said. No court. No drama. I stared at him. Is that what you think I should do? I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Mom, he said gently, this is humiliating for everyone. For everyone. Not for me. I laughed softly. So that's it. I said, 46 years, and I should disappear politely? He looked uncomfortable. Elise is well connected, he added. She has lawyers. Money. I leaned forward. So do I said quietly. He frowned. Do you, he asked. That question hurt more than anything Elise had said. I stood up. I raised you, I said. I sacrificed for you. And now you doubt me. That's not what I meant, he said quickly. Then what did you mean? I asked. Silence. I picked up the envelope. This, I said, holding it up, is why you don't need to worry about me. Daniel's eyes flicked to it. What's that? He asked. I studied him. Really studied him. Something fell off. You don't know. I asked. He shook his head. No. I nodded. Good, I said. Then you'll hear it when the judge does. His jaw tightened. Mom, he warned, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I felt something crack inside my chest. You sound just like your father, I said. He flinched. I opened the door. I think you should go, I said. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he left. The door closed softly, but the silence afterward screamed. I sank into the chair. My hands trembled. Had I raised a man who would choose comfort over truth? The phone rang again. This time it was my sister. May, she said, you need to sit down. I am sitting, I replied. She sighed. I spoke to Aunt Lorraine. My heart skipped. Lorraine, Robert's older sister, the keeper of family history. What did she say? I asked. She said there's something you don't know, my sister said. Something about Robert and Elise. My grip tightened. What? I whispered. She said Elise wasn't the first, she continued. And she wasn't the worst. My breath caught. She told me Robert had a child, my sister said. The world stopped. A child. I repeated. Yes, she said. Before you were married. My ears rang. No, I whispered. That's not possible. That's what Lorraine said, she insisted. A boy. He gave him up. Or paid someone off. I don't know the details. I felt sick. All those years. All those lies. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat there, staring. My memories rearranged themselves. Suddenly, Robert's distance made sense. His guilt. His control. The secrets had roots. Deep ones. I stood and walked to the attic. I hadn't been up there in years. Dust coated everything. Boxes labeled taxes, photos, old work. I searched until my hands ached. Then I found it. A small metal box. Locked, but not very well. Inside were old letters, photos, and a birth certificate. A name I didn't recognize. A date from decades ago. Father, Robert May. Mother, unknown. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor and cried. Not loud. Just quiet tears. The kind that come from deep betrayal. So this wasn't new. This was who he'd always been. I wiped my face and kept digging. At the bottom of the box was another envelope. Legal documents. Property transfers. One name kept appearing. Elise's father. My heart raced. This wasn't just an affair. This was business. This was planned. I realized something terrifying. They hadn't just taken my husband. They were trying to erase me. The doorbell rang again. I jumped. This time it was my daughter. She looked nervous. "Mom," she said, "I need to tell you something." I crossed my arms. "Go on." She swallowed. "I knew about Elise," she admitted. "Before you did." The words hit like a slap. "How long?" I asked. 2 years, she whispered. 2 years. And you said nothing? I asked. She cried. "He told me you were fragile," she sobbed. "That it would kill you." I closed my eyes. "So instead," I said, "you watched it kill me slowly." She reached for me. I stepped back. "Is there anything else?" I asked. She nodded. "Elise offered me money," she said. My blood went cold. "For what?" I asked. "To convince you to settle," she whispered. I laughed. It came out sharp. "Of course she did." "How much?" I asked. "Enough," she said. I walked to the window, looked out at the dark street. My family wasn't just silent. They were compromised. I turned back to her. "You should take it," I said. Her eyes widened. "What?" she asked. "Take her money," I repeated. "Tell her you'll help." She shook her head. "I can't betray you," she cried. I smiled sadly. "You already did," I said. "Now help me finish this." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I'll do it," she whispered. That night I made a list. Names, dates, documents. I wasn't just a wife anymore. I was a witness. And witnesses survive by telling the truth. As I placed the real will back into its envelope, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You're running out of time." I typed back one word. "Good." Because secrets rot in the dark. And I was about to drag every single one into the light. The betrayal didn't arrive quietly. It stormed through my life, tearing everything I had built into pieces before I even knew it existed. I woke that morning with a sense of dread I couldn't shake. The envelope with the real will sat on my bedside table, like a challenge, daring me to act. My hands itched to grab it, to rip it open and shout at the world. "I am not finished." The phone rang again. I almost didn't answer. It was Robert's number. "Robert," I said, my voice flat. "Nana," he rasped, weak from his hospital bed. "Please don't do anything rash. Just let it go." My laugh was short, bitter. "Let it go? Do you hear yourself? You've been living a double life for 10 years, Robert. Let it go. Let it go." He coughed. "I'm sorry. Sorry." I spat the word like poison. "You think an apology fixes 46 years of lies? You think lying about your affairs, your mistress, your plans to erase me from my own life, that fixes anything?" There was silence on the line. I hung up. I couldn't let it end there. Not now. Not when I had the real will in my hands. I dressed quickly, putting on a black coat and gloves, pacing like a predator before a hunt. I knew what had to be done. The humiliation would come, yes, but it would be for her, not me. By noon, I arrived at Robert's law office. The receptionist's eyes widened as I walked past her. I didn't need to speak. I had the envelope. That was my statement. The secretary picked up the phone. "Mr. May is expecting," she trailed off when she saw my expression. "I'm here for the meeting," I said coldly. Moments later, I was ushered into a sleek office. Elise was already there, sitting confidently on a leather chair, her legs crossed, her manicured nails tapping on the polished table. The audacity. "Good afternoon, Nana," she said sweetly. I ignored her. Robert sat across from her, looking ill, guilty, and pitiful. He glanced at me like a child caught stealing candy. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. "Shouldn't I?" I asked, placing the envelope on the table. "Let's see if Elise knows about this." Her confident smile faltered. "What's that?" she asked, leaning forward. "This," I said, sliding the envelope toward her. "The real will." Her eyes widened. You can't," she stammered. "Oh, I can," I interrupted. "I can, and I will, because apparently everything I thought I had, you've already taken. My husband, my dignity, my family's trust, but this is mine, and you can't touch it." She blinked rapidly. The confident mask cracked. Robert groaned. "Nana, please don't make this worse." I ignored him. I was done listening to excuses. Elise leaned back, trying to reclaim her composure. "You don't know what you're doing. I've got lawyers, money, connections. If you open that, you'll ruin yourself. I laughed, not lightly, not politely, but like a storm breaking over a cliff. You think money protects you from the truth? I asked. Truth doesn't care about your connections, Elise. Truth doesn't care about your perfect makeup, your expensive dress, your shiny shoes. Truth will strip you bare. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Robert's face paled. He looked like he might faint. You promised me, he whispered. You promised. I slammed my hand on the table. I promised you nothing. I promised myself that I wouldn't be a fool anymore. I wouldn't allow you or her to erase me from the world I helped build. Elise's hands shook slightly. She tried to mask it, but I saw it. I always saw it. You should be careful, Nana, she said softly. You don't want this to get messy. Messy. I repeated. Do you know what you've done? Do you know how many nights I cried alone in this house because of you? Do you know what it feels like to watch your husband smile at another woman at a hospital while pretending you don't exist? Tears rolled down my cheeks, but I didn't wipe them away. I let them fall. Let her see the cost of her betrayal. She tried to respond. Words failed her. I picked up the envelope and slid it toward her again. Open it, I said, my voice calm now, deadly calm. She hesitated. Her fingers hovered above it. The tension in the room was suffocating. Robert was silent, guilt etched deep into his face. Finally, she opened it. Her eyes scanned the pages. Her lips parted. She turned pale. This can't be real, she whispered. Oh, it's real, I said. Signed, witnessed, notarized. Everything. My entire life, my house, my property, everything. All still mine. And you thought you could take it from me? Her voice broke. You cheated. I laughed again. This time, there was no humor. Only rage. I cheated? I didn't cheat, Elise. I loved him. I stayed faithful. I raised children. I buried parents. I built a life while you planned to steal it. She gasped. You can't. Yes, I can, I said, standing up now. I was no longer a trembling wife. I was a lioness, stripped of fear, filled with fire. And I will. Starting with this courtroom. Her phone rang. She glanced at it, panic in her eyes. I didn't need to see the screen. I knew who it was. Her lawyer. Probably whispering threats, instructions, lies. I felt a moment of satisfaction. Fear. Even a hint of respect. Then she looked up at me. Her perfect mask gone, replaced by something raw, exposed. You can't stop what's coming, she hissed. I smiled. I already have. I turned to Robert. You've had your chance, I said. You chose her over me. Now watch. The room went silent except for the hum of the air conditioner and the soft ticking of the wall clock. Then the door opened. A man in a suit stepped in. Mrs. May, he asked. We're ready for the pre-court meeting. Your attorney is waiting. I nodded. The envelope stayed firmly in my hands. Elisa's face went pale again. She knew. She knew I had the real leverage. She took a step back, but I didn't move. I let her see my strength. Let her feel the heat of my fury. Let's see who wins, shall we? I said. Robert didn't speak. He didn't look at me. He was caught between the woman he chose and the life he destroyed. I took a deep breath. I could feel every nerve in my body alive with adrenaline. I knew this was just the beginning. The betrayal wasn't over. Not by a long shot. As we left the office, Elisa's heels clicked menacingly behind me. Every step felt like a countdown to disaster. When we reached the courthouse, cameras were already flashing. Reporters had caught wind of the scandal. My family's name was everywhere. I paused at the top of the steps. I could see Elisa's panic rising as photographers circled us. I smiled. This humiliation she had planned for me. Now it was her turn to sweat. Inside, the courtroom was packed. My lawyer motioned me to the bench. Elise sat smugly across the room, her father's hand firmly on her arm. And then it happened. She stood up. Objection, she shouted, pointing at the envelope. That document is a forgery. The judge raised an eyebrow. Really? I calmly placed the envelope on the desk. Judge, this is the original will. Signed, notarized, witnessed. Everything legally binding. She claims it's fake because she knows she can't win otherwise. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Reporters scribbled frantically. Cameras flashed. Elisa's face was red. She was trembling. The woman who thought she could humiliate me was now the one exposed. I met her gaze. You thought you could take everything. But you didn't. Not everything. Not yet. And now the truth comes out. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. May, is this document the original? I nodded. My hand steady, my voice calm. Yes, Your Honor. The original, notarized, witnessed, and legally binding. The courtroom murmured. Elisa's father muttered under his breath. Robert looked like he'd swallowed glass. And I felt alive. For the first time in 10 years, I felt in control. But then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but this is only the beginning. Watch your back. I looked up at Elise. She looked equally terrified. And in that moment I realized this betrayal went deeper than I thought. Much deeper. Sometimes the truth doesn't come gently. Sometimes it slams into you like a freight train, and all you can do is brace yourself or be crushed. The courthouse hallway smelled like polished wood, old paper, and fear. I could feel it in the air. Every whisper of movement carried tension. I gripped the envelope tighter than ever, the weight of it grounding me. The real will wasn't just a piece of paper. It was my weapon, my shield, my proof. Elisa's eyes followed me like a predator tracking prey. Her usual poise was gone. She looked fragile now, nervous, almost human. Almost. Are you ready for this? I whispered to my daughter, who stood beside me. She nodded, clutching a notebook full of my evidence. I've never been more ready, she said. The judge called us in. Cameras flashed as we entered the courtroom. Elisa's father and a team of lawyers flanked her, exuding the confidence that wealth and influence can buy. But confidence can crumble. I knew it. I had lived long enough to see facades crack. Robert sat quietly, hands folded, looking like a guilty child caught red-handed. My chest tightened. For years, I had held him close, loved him fiercely, trusted him completely. And now, he was the reason this storm had formed, the reason my life had become a battlefield. The court clerk called the first order of business, validation of the will. I stepped forward. Your Honor, I said, voice steady. This is the original, notarized, witnessed will of Robert May. It is legally binding, and it was kept safely in my possession since the day he handed it to me. Elise gasped. The courtroom murmured. Her lawyers exchanged panicked glances. You're certain this is the original? The judge asked. I nodded. Absolutely. One of Elisa's lawyers spoke up, voice sharp. Objection, Your Honor. We request a full verification by the court-appointed forensic expert. This document could have been altered. I smiled faintly. It's been stored in a secure location for years. Altering it would be impossible without leaving evidence. The judge considered this. We will have it verified. Meanwhile, all parties are asked to remain calm. Elisa's lips trembled. She opened her mouth to say something but caught herself. She glanced at her father, who gave a subtle nod. He had no idea how badly she underestimated me. I sat down. The envelope rested on my lap like a loaded gun. Every eye in the room felt like it was piercing me, waiting for me to falter. But I didn't falter. I had rehearsed this in my mind 100 times. Every word, every move, every glance was calculated. Then a whisper reached my ear. Mom, my daughter said, look at the security footage. I froze. Elisa's smug look had hidden something, but the security cameras had caught everything. We pulled up the footage on a tablet my lawyer had smuggled in. There she was, Elise, my supposed companion, sneaking into my house months ago, opening drawers, looking through files, pausing at the envelope I had stored in a locked cabinet. My blood ran cold. She's been planning this for months, I whispered, trying to find the real will. The judge's gavel slammed. Order. I pushed the tablet forward. Your Honor, if it pleases the court, this footage proves that Elise attempted to manipulate the situation before the legal process even began. She sought to claim what was never hers. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Elisa's face turned crimson. Her father sputtered. Robert looked mortified. You can't, Elise began, but the judge silenced her with a look. This court will hear the facts, not arguments meant to intimidate, he said. Proceed. I felt a surge of power. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid. I had been humiliated, lied to, and betrayed, but now the tables had turned. Elisa's lawyers attempted to argue procedural technicalities, but my lawyer was ready. Documents, notarized letters, proof of custody, proof of ownership. Everything was in order. Then came the most critical moment. The court clerk handed me the envelope. Please submit the original will for verification. I nodded and placed it on the stand. Every eye followed my movements. Elise leaned forward, her face twisted with panic. She had assumed she could intimidate me with wealth, influence, and arrogance. She had underestimated what decades of experience, resilience, and determination could do. Suddenly, Robert spoke, his voice weak but audible. Nana, I didn't know she would go this far. I looked at him, cold and unwavering. You didn't know, or you chose not to know. He flinched. I shook my head. Enough. This isn't about you. This is about truth. The judge examined the will, flipping through pages. Elisa's hands shook as she watched. Every second that passed chipped away at her confidence. Then the court expert arrived to verify the document. Minutes later, he confirmed its authenticity. Every signature, every witness mark, every notarization was valid. It is legally binding, he said. The courtroom erupted. Elisa's father grabbed her arm. Her face went pale. My daughter smiled beside me, tears glistening in her eyes. You see, I said quietly, you thought you could humiliate me. Take everything. But you didn't. Not yet. Elisa's lawyer whispered in her ear. She nodded reluctantly. Then she turned to the court. We accept the validity of the will, she said, voice trembling. A murmur swept the room. Elisa's humiliation was complete. Her carefully constructed facade shattered. But just as I felt a sliver of relief, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Congratulations, Nana. But this isn't over. You've uncovered the will, but there are other secrets. Ones Robert never told you. Ones that will destroy everything you think you know. I froze. My hands tightened around the envelope. Elisa's smirk had disappeared. For once, she looked scared. Robert leaned back, pale as a sheet. Nana, what does that mean? I didn't answer, because deep down I already knew. The betrayal didn't stop with Elise. There were secrets buried in our family. Secrets that Robert had hidden even from me. And now they were coming to light. As the gavel fell to adjourn the session, I realized that the fight wasn't over. The courtroom may have validated the will, but a darker game had begun. Someone, somewhere, had been manipulating events. Someone who had waited for decades. Someone who knew all of our weaknesses, and they were about to strike. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Because winning the first battle doesn't mean you've won the war. The betrayal was only the beginning, and the next chapter of this nightmare would be even more devastating. Some truths hide in plain sight, wrapped in lies, waiting for the moment to explode. I was about to learn just how deep Robert's betrayals ran. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. The envelope with the real will rested on the kitchen table, next to a half-empty cup of coffee that had gone cold. Every sound in the house felt magnified. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, even the wind rattling the windows. My heart raced, knowing that every step Robert and Elise had taken was just the tip of the iceberg. My daughter, always the vigilant one, sat across from me. Her notebook was open, pages filled with scribbles, dates, and connections that made my head spin. Mom, she said quietly, there's more. Much more than we thought. I rubbed my temples. Go on. She flipped the notebook to a page marked with a red sticky note. I did some digging. Elise isn't just some opportunist. Her family has been involved with Robert's business dealings for years. And the will. They plan to claim it together. I swallowed hard. Together? Yes, she said. Robert isn't just guilty of cheating. He's been hiding things from us all. Accounts, properties, offshore investments. And Elise, she's not new to this game. She's been grooming him to pass everything to her. My stomach churned. I wanted to throw up. I could see it now, the smiles, the kind gestures, the endless late-night calls. It wasn't love. It was strategy. A knock at the door startled us. I opened it cautiously. Robert's lawyer stepped in, looking uncomfortable. "Mrs. May," he said carefully, "there are documents you need to see from Robert's earlier life, things that weren't disclosed. He instructed me to keep them hidden until now." I motioned him inside. My daughter and I sat, bracing ourselves. He handed me a thick folder, bound in dark leather. "Everything you've seen, it's only the beginning," he said. "He has accounts, properties, even a trust fund you were unaware of. And he's tied to people, dangerous people. Elise is only part of this." My hand shook. I opened the folder. First, there were letters, legal papers from decades ago, names I didn't recognize, addresses in foreign countries, bank accounts with enormous sums, then photographs, Robert with a young woman I didn't know, a child in his arms. My throat tightened. It's him," I whispered. "This is him before us?" "Yes," the lawyer said quietly. "But there's more. He didn't just hide these things. He manipulated them. He's been protecting himself, controlling outcomes, even at the cost of those closest to him." I stared at the pictures. I felt like my life was dissolving around me. Every memory of Robert, every happy moment, now felt like it had been carefully orchestrated. My daughter reached for my hand. "Mom, you're not alone in this." I nodded, grateful, but the ache in my chest wouldn't ease. Suddenly, the door opened again. This time it was Elise. Her face was pale, but her eyes burned with something fierce. Anger, fear, determination. "You shouldn't be looking at that," she said, her voice trembling. "Those files, they're dangerous." I stood. "And you are the one who can finish what we started," she whispered. I felt a chill run down my spine. Elise was no longer just the mistress. She was a soldier in a war I hadn't known existed. "You think threats scare me?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Do you know what it feels like to be betrayed by the person you loved most? To be humiliated in public? To have your life dissected by strangers?" Her eyes flicked to the envelope. "That will, you don't know what you're holding. There are other wills, contingencies, trusts. Some things were never meant to be revealed." I clenched my fists. "Then reveal them, or get out of my way." She smiled, not kindly. "Oh, I will reveal them. But when I do, you'll wish you hadn't." My daughter's grip on my hand tightened. "Mom, we can't let her intimidate us." I nodded. "No, we fight." The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mrs. May, there's another matter. Elise isn't acting alone. She's backed by others, business partners, even family members who benefit from her claim. This is bigger than a personal feud. This is organized." I felt my pulse quicken. Organized, coordinated. I had underestimated her, but not anymore. I closed the folder. "We start by exposing every lie, every document, every transaction. She thinks she can intimidate me. She thinks she can manipulate my family. But she hasn't met Nana May." Elise laughed softly. "Brave words. But bravery doesn't save you from consequences." I leaned closer. "No, but knowledge does." And that's when I realized the hidden truth. The betrayal had roots far deeper than I imagined. Elise's plan wasn't just about Robert. It was about a legacy. My family, my children, and the life I had fought to protect. I turned to my daughter. "We need to map this out. Every connection, every secret. If they think they can play chess with my family, they're about to learn that I'm a queen who doesn't back down." She nodded, her eyes determined. "We'll expose them all." Then the door burst open again. Robert entered, looking pale, his hands shaking. "Nana, please," he said, voice breaking. I never meant for this to happen." I looked at him, cold and unyielding. "You never meant for what, Robert? For Elise to destroy my life? For me to find out my husband is a stranger? Or for us to be nothing more than players in your selfish games?" He swallowed. I can fix it." I laughed bitterly. "Fix it? You think anything can be fixed after 10 years of lies, after public humiliation, after betrayal?" Elise stepped forward, smirking. "See, even he knows I'm right. You're outmatched." I took a step closer. My eyes locked with hers. "Outmatched? No, you've underestimated me. You've underestimated what a woman who has lived, loved, and fought can do when her back is against the wall. You've underestimated Nana May. Her smirk faltered. I saw it. I felt power returning to my body, to my mind. I was no longer the woman waiting for the storm. I was the storm. Then my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. You've uncovered the will. But the secrets go deeper. We've been watching. And soon everything you love will be at risk. I felt the words like ice in my veins. Someone was orchestrating this from the shadows. Elise was dangerous, yes, but she was not the mastermind. There was someone else. Someone who knew every weakness, every fear, every secret Robert had kept buried. I clenched my fists. They think they can scare me, I whispered. They don't know who they're dealing with. I turned to my daughter. We're going to uncover every secret, every lie, every betrayal. And when we do, justice will be ours. Elise's eyes widened. She realized I wasn't just a wife scorned anymore. I was a force she could not control. And that's when I understood the full scope of the danger. The real war wasn't just about the will. It was about every hidden truth Robert had buried, every secret that could destroy lives, every betrayal that could ruin my family. And the countdown had already begun. I never imagined betrayal could taste so bitter, so cold, so consuming. But it did. And it was everywhere, family, friends, even the walls of the home I thought was mine. That morning, I woke to silence that felt heavier than any words. My daughter was already up, papers spread across the kitchen table, lists of documents, names, transactions, and connections that made my head spin. Mom, she said quietly, looking up, you need to see this. I took a deep breath and moved closer. She pointed at a column in her notebook. Robert's partners, they're calling in favors. Lawyers, business associates, even some relatives are being pulled into this. They think if they pressure us enough, we'll back down. I stared at the list. Names I didn't recognize. Phone numbers. Addresses in other states. Offshore accounts. Every entry felt like a ticking bomb. Every one of these names, I murmured, their threats. And they're counting on us being scared. My daughter shook her head. They underestimate you, Mom. I laughed bitterly. Maybe. But fear is still real. And fear can make people weak. Just then my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. We're coming for what's ours. You can't protect them all. I slammed the phone down. My daughter grabbed my hands. Mom, don't let them scare you. I looked into her eyes and realized something terrifying. Fear wasn't the worst part. The worst part was knowing I couldn't protect everyone I loved, not fully. Not when the betrayal ran so deep. Not when the enemies were so close. I sat down, exhausted, my mind racing. Then a knock at the door. I opened it to find my son, Daniel, standing there. His face was pale, and his eyes avoided mine. Mom, he said quietly, we need to talk. I gestured for him to come in. He paced nervously, then stopped in front of me. I can't support this, he admitted. I blinked. What do you mean? He looked down. At least she's powerful, influential. You think you can fight her alone, but I can't. I have a career, a family. I can't risk everything. I felt a hot surge of anger. You're abandoning your mother? No, he shouted. I'm protecting myself. You have to understand. I shook my head. Understand? You've been warned for months. You've seen the signs. And now you're choosing to step aside. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry, Mom. I can't do this. Tears filled my eyes. Not for myself. For the betrayal of someone I loved. Someone I thought would stand with me. You're not a child anymore, I said quietly. But that doesn't mean I won't fight. I will protect this family, even if I have to stand alone. He looked down at the floor, ashamed. I wish I could help. You'll help in ways you don't know, I said, forcing my voice to stay strong. But if you stand in my way, don't. He nodded, defeated. Then he left. The door clicked shut, leaving me in a silence that pressed in from all sides. I sank into my chair. The weight of this war pressed on me like a physical force. Betrayal, fear, anger, exhaustion, all swirling together, creating a storm I had to survive. Then the phone buzzed again. This time it was Elise. Her voice was cold, calculated. Nana, you think you've won, but everyone has limits. Everyone has breaking points. I didn't answer. I just hung up. Her threats didn't scare me anymore. I had learned something critical. The storm outside was dangerous, yes, but the storm inside me was far more powerful. Later that day, I met with my lawyer. We need to plan, I said. Everything. Every angle. Every possible move they could make. He nodded. We've prepared for most scenarios, but they're escalating faster than we anticipated. Elise isn't acting alone. I clenched my fists. Then we escalate too. We hit back harder. Expose them before they strike. He raised an eyebrow. You understand this could ruin reputations, careers, even lives? I leaned forward. Good. Let's do it. That night, I sat alone in the living room. The envelope with the will rested beside me. I thought about Robert, about Elise, about my children. I realized something. Betrayal wasn't just about deception. It was about power, control, the illusion of safety. And now all of that was gone. Tears streamed down my face, but they weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of fury, of determination, of a woman who refused to be defeated. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. You've exposed Elise, but there's more. A family secret, one that could destroy you from the inside. I froze. A family secret. I thought I had unearthed everything. The will, the betrayal, the manipulations. But now, something even darker was coming. I gripped the envelope tightly. No, I whispered. Not my family. Not my children. I will protect them, even if it kills me. The next morning, I gathered my daughter. We start tracing every connection Robert and Elise have. Every ally, every enemy. We uncover every secret, no matter how ugly. She nodded. Mom, we'll do it together. I took a deep breath. We have to. Because if we don't, Elise won't stop. And whoever is behind her, they'll destroy everything. As we began planning, I realized something terrifying. The emotional turmoil wasn't just from betrayal. It was from knowing that everyone we loved could be hurt. And the clock was ticking. By the evening, my phone buzzed once more. A text from an unknown number. They've underestimated you, but now you've seen nothing yet. Watch carefully. I felt a chill. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. Sometimes the truth comes like a lightning strike, blinding, painful, and impossible to ignore. And that night, the storm hit our family harder than ever. I had barely slept. My eyes were heavy, my nerves raw. Yet, there was no time for rest. The mysterious texts, Elise's threats, and the looming secrets from Robert's past weighed on me. I had to act now. My daughter and I sat at the dining table. The real will lay between us like a talisman, proof of everything I had fought for. But proof wasn't enough. The battle wasn't just legal, it was emotional, psychological. And I knew it. I've traced some of the connections, my daughter whispered, pointing at her laptop screen. Elise isn't just her family or Robert's allies. She's got friends in high places, even people within our extended family. I felt my stomach knot. People I trusted? I asked, voice trembling. Yes, she said softly. And some of them are willing to betray for money, status, or revenge. I leaned back in my chair, gripping the envelope. They underestimated me, I murmured. But they won't underestimate Nana, May twice. The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. I opened the door to find my sister, eyes wide with urgency. May, she hissed, you need to sit down. Now, there's confessions. I felt my heart skip a beat. Confessions? From whom? My family, my enemies, or Robert himself. I gestured for her to come in. They're all talking, she said, glancing around nervously. Family members, friends, people who were hiding things from you for decades. And some, they're scared of what will happen if the truth comes out. I swallowed hard, then let it come out. Later that evening, we convened in my study. My lawyer had joined us, and my daughter had her laptop ready. The room was tense, electric, like the calm before a storm. The first to speak was my niece, Clara. Her hand shook. Aunt May, I have to tell you something, she began. I held my breath. Go on. I knew about Elise before you did, she admitted, eyes avoiding mine. Robert told me to stay quiet. He said it would hurt you too much. And I agreed. I'm sorry. I felt a flash of anger and disbelief. You agreed? You chose silence over loyalty. Tears welled in her eyes. I was scared, Aunt May. Scared of what he could do. Scared of ruining my career. Scared. I snapped. You think fear is an excuse for betrayal? She nodded, trembling. Yes, I know it sounds wrong, but I didn't know what else to do. I sank into my chair, exhaustion washing over me. The people I trusted most, the people I thought would stand with me, they had betrayed me silently for years. Before I could respond, my lawyer handed me another folder. These are Robert's confessions, he said quietly. I opened it. Letters, recordings, and documents, all admissions of his infidelity, his manipulations, his secret accounts, and a confession about a hidden child from before our marriage. I froze. A hidden child. My daughter gasped. Mom, oh my God. Yes, I whispered. There's more than one betrayal. More than one secret. And Elise isn't the worst of it. Just then, the door opened. My son, Daniel, appeared, looking pale and conflicted. Mom, I need to confess, he said, voice shaking. I gestured for him to sit. Go ahead. He looked down, swallowing hard. I've known about some of Elise's manipulations. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I didn't tell anyone. I thought I could manage it, protect the family, but I failed. I'm sorry, Mom. I felt a surge of frustration and heartbreak. My own son had kept secrets from me, kept me in the dark. I trusted you, Daniel, I said, voice breaking. And you let them manipulate everything behind my back. I thought I was helping, he said desperately. I thought I could control it. You thought wrong, I said bitterly. Now we're all paying the price. The room fell silent. My daughter squeezed my hand, grounding me. Then a knock. The lawyer opened the door, revealing Elise herself. Her face was pale but defiant. I hear there are confessions, she said, her voice sharp. Maybe it's time I tell some truths too. I felt the weight of every betrayal, every secret, every humiliation rise in me. Go on, I said, my voice icy. She smirked. Robert's been hiding more than you know. I didn't create him, I merely used him. He's the one who set everything in motion. The affairs, the secret accounts, the manipulations, all him. I'm just the beneficiary. I clenched my fists. Beneficiary or not, you've ruined my family. You've humiliated me. You've tried to erase me from my own life. Yes, she said, smirking. And yet you're still standing. You're clever, Nana May. I'll give you that. But cleverness isn't enough. There's more you don't know, people who will come for you. People Robert brought into the game long before you realized it. I felt a cold shiver. Elise wasn't bluffing. Someone else was behind all of this, orchestrating chaos. My lawyer spoke up. We need to document everything. Every confession, every secret, every threat. If we expose it correctly, we can protect your family and dismantle their plan. I nodded, determination solidifying in my chest. Then we do it. No more hiding. No more lies. Everyone's truth comes out tonight. Over the next few hours, the room became a confessional. Every family member, every friend with knowledge of Robert or Elise, revealed what they had hidden. Hidden accounts, secret property transfers, threats, bribes, manipulations. Each confession hit me like a hammer. Each revelation deepened the emotional turmoil. I felt betrayed, angry, heartbroken, yet stronger than ever. Finally, Elise spoke again. You think exposing everything will save you, she said. But it won't. You've only scratched the surface. There's someone else. Someone who doesn't play by rules. And soon they'll move. My daughter grabbed my hand. Mom, we can't wait. We need to act before they do. I nodded. We will. But first we make them confess everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every secret Robert tried to hide from me. And when they do, no one will ever underestimate Nana May again. As I held the envelope with the real will, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. The emotional turmoil, the heartbreak, the betrayal. They had forged me into something stronger. Someone who could face the storm, expose the lies, and fight for justice. But just as I felt ready, my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Confessions are only the beginning. Soon, everyone you love will be in danger. Watch your back, Nana May. I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. Elise had warned me. And now, someone else was coming. Someone far more dangerous than anything I had faced. I clenched my jaw. They think fear will stop me, I whispered. They're about to learn exactly who they're dealing with. And with that, I knew. The next confrontation would not just be legal, not just emotional. It would be a war that could change everything. Family, legacy, life itself. Sometimes you think victory is near, but the closer you get, the sharper the shadows become. That's what I discovered when I tried to take control of the chaos that had consumed my life. The morning sun poured through the windows of my study, but the light felt harsh, almost accusatory. I sat at the head of the table, my daughter by my side, the envelope with the real positioned like a shield between us. The confessions from last night still lingered in the air, thick and heavy, and my nerves were taut, ready to snap. We have to move fast, my daughter said, her voice low but determined. Elise isn't going to wait. She's already rallying everyone Robert's hidden in the shadows. This could spiral out of control. I nodded, absorbing her words. Then we start by exposing the skeletons in the closet. Every secret, every manipulation, every account and property Robert and Elise tried to hide. Every ally who thinks they can intimidate us. She pulled up a spreadsheet she'd been compiling. Names, phone numbers, bank accounts, connections, everything. We need a public strategy, Mom. Legal threats, press the works. And we need to be prepared for backlash. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The storm of the past weeks, betrayal, humiliation, threats, had forged something in me. Calmness, focus, clarity. I realized then that this wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming control, exposing the truth, and protecting my family. A knock at the door startled me. Come in, I said, voice steady. It was Daniel. He looked pale, guilt etched into his features. Mom, I want to help. I can't change the past, but I can help you now. I studied him carefully. You understand the stakes, Daniel. One wrong move, and everyone, our family, our reputation, even our safety, could be at risk. He nodded. I understand. I'm ready. I exhaled slowly. Then let's begin. We start with Elise. By mid-morning, we had coordinated with my lawyer and a team of trusted allies. Elise's network of hidden supporters was vast, but not invincible. Every secret we had uncovered, the confessions, hidden accounts, even the security footage, was ready to be deployed strategically. I sat in my living room, reviewing documents, phone calls buzzing nonstop, emails flying in. The calm, calculated fury inside me was growing. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. And I would not be denied. My daughter leaned over. Mom, Elise just sent a message. She knows we're moving. I took the phone. The text was short, chilling. You think exposing the will was enough? This is only the beginning. You've opened Pandora's box, Nana May. Don't be surprised if it destroys you. I felt a familiar shiver, but it was different this time. Fear was no longer my master. Anger and clarity were. Good, I muttered. Then we make sure she's the one destroyed. By noon, we had our first confrontation set, Elise's lawyers. I arrived at their office with my daughter and legal team. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but I could feel the tension radiating through the building. Elise's team had been smug before, confident, arrogant. But today, something was different. I stepped into the room. Let's talk, I said. My voice calm, but carrying an edge. One of her lawyers sneered. Mrs. May, you should leave. This won't end well for you. I smiled faintly. Oh, I think it will end very well. For me. They laughed, thinking it was bravado. I let them. Confidence, I knew, could crumble in the face of truth. I laid out the evidence, the confessions, the hidden accounts, the manipulated trusts. I showed the security footage of Elise attempting to access the will. I presented the letters and recordings from Robert's past. Each piece of evidence was a hammer striking their foundation. Elisa's team tried to argue procedural technicalities, but I had anticipated every objection. My lawyer reinforced the points, methodically dismantling their defenses. Every lie, every manipulation, every betrayal was exposed with precision. Elise herself appeared in the room, trying to maintain composure. But I could see it, fear creeping into her eyes. The confident mask she wore in court and at the hospital was cracking. "You thought you could manipulate my family," I said directly, locking eyes with her. "You thought you could erase me. You failed. Every single attempt has been documented, every deception exposed. You underestimated Nana May." She flinched. You think this ends here?" I leaned forward, calm but fierce. "No, this is just the beginning. But from now on, every move you make will be under scrutiny. Every lie you tell will be exposed. And if you think you can intimidate me with threats, think again." My daughter took my hand. "Mom, we did it." "Yes," I said, but my heart didn't rest. "We've won the first battle, but the war, it's far from over." And then the unthinkable happened. A phone rang. Elisa's. Everyone froze. She answered, her face draining of color as she listened. Her lips trembled. They're moving faster than we anticipated," she whispered. "Yes, but she knows." "No, she can't." She hung up and looked at me, eyes wide with panic. You don't know what you've done. This has only made them act faster." My lawyer raised an eyebrow. "Who's the—" Elise said nothing. Her silence was more terrifying than any words could be. By evening, we had begun coordinating press releases and legal motions. The goal was simple: protect the family, expose Elisa's manipulations, and prepare for the shadowy figure she hinted at. But the tension was palpable. Every phone call, every knock at the door, every email felt like a potential threat. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Congratulations on taking the first step. But the mastermind isn't Elise. They've been watching you all along. And now, Nana May, it's your move, or everything falls." I stared at the screen. My hand shook slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of responsibility. Elise had been the visible enemy, but the true enemy was someone operating from the shadows, orchestrating every betrayal, every secret, every manipulation. I looked at my daughter. "We need to uncover the mastermind," I said, "before they strike, before they destroy everything we've built. Every connection, every hidden account, every family secret, they're all pieces of the puzzle. And we're going to find them." She nodded. "Mom, we can do this. Together." I took a deep breath. "Yes, together. And when we find them, they will regret ever underestimating Nana May." But even as I said the words, a part of me knew the coming storm would be unlike anything I had faced. Elise was dangerous, yes, but the real mastermind was smarter, colder, and more ruthless. They had orchestrated every move, waited for the perfect moment to strike, and now the game was on. And the next chapter, the shocking end, would reveal the mastermind and set the stage for a final confrontation that could either save my family or destroy it completely. I thought the storm was over. I thought exposing Elise, confronting my family, and revealing Robert's secrets would bring a sense of relief. I was wrong. The real storm was only just beginning. The morning air felt sharp and cold, a biting reminder that nothing in my life would ever be safe again. My daughter and I sat in the living room, surrounded by files, documents, and laptops, our arsenal against the chaos Elise had brought into our lives. "We've exposed everything," my daughter said, exhaustion evident in her voice. "Elisa's lies, Robert's manipulations, even the family secrets we uncovered last night. What else could there possibly be?" I didn't answer immediately. I felt it in my bones, a gnawing, unsettling sensation. Someone else was out there, watching, waiting. Elise wasn't the mastermind. She was a pawn. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it, then pressed accept. "You've done well so far, Nana May," a cold, measured voice said. "But the game isn't over. You've seen only the surface. The deeper truths, the ones that will destroy your family, are yet to be revealed." I gritted my teeth. "Who is this?" "Someone you trust," the voice replied. "Someone closer than you think. By the time you realize, it will be too late." Watch your back, Nana May. The line went dead. My daughter's eyes widened. Mom, did they just say someone close? Yes, I whispered, swallowing hard. Someone who has been right under our noses all along. The hours that followed were a blur. Phone calls, emails, and messages poured in. Threats, warnings, even cryptic clues from our unknown adversary. My daughter and I worked tirelessly, cross-referencing every piece of evidence, trying to map connections, alliances, and potential enemies. Then came the knock. Hard, urgent. My son, Daniel, entered, looking pale, his hands shaking. Mom, I need to tell you everything, he said, voice barely above a whisper. I gestured for him to sit. My heart pounded in my chest. Go ahead. Now. He took a deep breath. It's Robert's sister, Catherine. She's been orchestrating everything behind the scenes. The hidden accounts, the manipulations, Elise's involvement, she's the one pulling the strings. And she knows every weakness of ours. I felt the floor shift beneath me. Robert's sister? Someone I had trusted. Someone I had considered family? The betrayal cut sharper than any blade. She's dangerous, Daniel continued. And she's planning her next move. She's targeting the children next. She wants to strip us of everything. Money, reputation, even safety. I clenched my fists. Rage, betrayal, and fear surged through me. Then we stop her. Tonight. We expose her. Every secret, every lie, every plan she's set in motion. My daughter nodded. We can do this. We have everything we need. By evening, we were in position. Legal documents ready. Media statements prepared. Evidence compiled. Every ally. Every piece of information meticulously organized. Then the doorbell rang. My daughter peeked through the window. Elise stood outside, face pale, lips trembling. But she wasn't alone. Behind her, Catherine. Calm, cold, dangerous. I opened the door slowly, every muscle in my body tense, every nerve alive with anticipation. Catherine's eyes met mine. Nana May, she said softly, you've been very clever. Too clever. But cleverness can't protect you from family. I stepped forward unafraid. Cleverness is what has kept me alive this long. And family doesn't betray the truth. You have your choices. I have mine. Elise gasped. Catherine, no. Not like this. Catherine's lips curled into a smile. Oh, Elise, you always were predictable. But Nana, she's far more dangerous than you ever imagined. That's why I'm here. To finish what Robert started. I felt my daughter grip my hand. Mom, what now? I looked at Catherine, steady, unwavering. Now we fight. Not with threats, not with lies, but with the truth. I pulled out my phone and activated a video call. On the screen appeared our lawyer, a team of trusted media contacts and law enforcement contacts ready to intervene. Every secret we had uncovered, the confessions, the will, the hidden accounts, even Elise's previous manipulations, was documented and ready to be exposed. Catherine's eyes widened. You can't. Yes, I can, I said firmly. Because while you've been operating in shadows, I've been gathering light. Evidence. Allies. Truth. And now your game ends tonight. Elise shook. Her mask of confidence shattered. Mom, don't. I raised my hand, calm but authoritative. Enough, Elise. This ends now. You've had your chance to manipulate, deceive, and betray. But Nana May does not bow to fear. Catherine stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. You think exposing the truth will save you? You have no idea what's coming. I took a deep breath. Try me. Suddenly, the phone buzzed. Another unknown number. My heart sank. You've done well exposing Elise, a chilling voice said. But Catherine is just the beginning. There's someone above her, someone who controls everything. And soon they'll make their move. Nana may be ready. The line went dead. I stared at the phone. My chest tightened. The mastermind. Someone beyond Catherine. Someone who had been orchestrating the chaos from above, pulling strings we hadn't even seen. I turned to my daughter. We've exposed one layer. We've confronted Elise and Catherine. But the real threat, the one we haven't seen yet, is still out there. Her eyes widened. Mom, do you know who it is? I shook my head slowly. No, but I will find out. And when I do, they will regret ever underestimating Nana May. Elise sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. Catherine stood frozen, a flicker of fear crossing her eyes for the first time. I felt power, determination, and clarity wash over me. The storm wasn't over. The battle wasn't finished. But for the first time, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would not be defeated. I would protect my family, and I would uncover every secret, every betrayal, every hidden hand manipulating our lives. As the night fell, I looked out the window at the city lights. Somewhere, the mastermind watched. Somewhere, the next move was being planned. But I was ready, because Nana made us not back down.